because what all leaders, dictators, potentates, and rear ends don't want is they don't want uprising in their country because they want to have it nice and cushy for them, their sakes, but make sure it's miserable for their citizens' sakes. And we're watching this happening first and foremost in Britain. Britain is a basket case as far as financially, as far as morally. Today, the ambassador was called, the British ambassador, it's a she, was called to give an account of why Britain blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. Now, I've seen incredibly vacuously indifferent entities on the internet saying, well, we don't know that for sure. Yes, they do know it for sure. And Russia said, you either admit to it or we're going to present the evidence to the world. And Hal Turner, kudos to him. He had the whole story from his background. You know, Doug, it's interesting to me. If people don't like the messenger, they automatically reject the message as being untrue. For instance, Eric, if you'll put that previous picture up, okay, of the map over the Yukon, this is a story that Hal put up on his website. I independently verified this, Doug. Independently means I didn't know about this until I saw it on Hal's site. And then I went out and reached out to different people. Reports of a mid-air missile intercept over Silver City, Yukon. This was the first ICBM test of that kind of distance that came courtesy of North Korea.
Quit playing games.
People have got to get over the idea that North Korea can't do this.
The pretense
then,
of preposterous.
yesterday,
that's what the real meaning is. Very tiresome.
Maybe it's the wee hours of our morning, but yesterday, the South Koreans and the Japanese said North Korea sent another ICBM that went over the Japanese islands and landed in the Pacific Ocean. Well, they had a failure of the second stage. But what I don't think people understand is that there is an intense amount of activity. So 2 weeks ago, I think it's about 2 weeks ago, maybe a little longer, we had the first ICBM. Now we have the second. The next thing that's going to shake the world, my guess, is either a hydrogen bomb going off, thermonuclear, because, again, the North Koreans have achieved that, or we're going to see another atom bomb test. And I don't know if they'll keep it underground, and they may not. At the same time the ICBM was sent out, there were 21 North Korean fighter craft in the air, which had never happened before, even during drills.
That's like
so they anticipated they were going to hit the United States. Calculations on the trajectories said it was headed to Washington, D.C. Has laid out, has been crossed. Every red line. So what I want people to understand is this. The title of today's show starts out with empty brains. People have chosen what I would call reality disassociative denial, okay? I've got other plays on that word, like reality avoidance syndrome or disorder.
That's part of your mind control program,
isn't it? But because of their empty brains, they don't want to entertain anything painful. I just pulled up on my website a 2017 article on why facts don't change our minds. You've often said we're set. We heard it. We're set in our ways. Shut up. A task can be repeated and they can be acceptable within the context of your brain. That normalcy, some people call it normalcy bias, cognitive dissonance. We're calling it, just to get to the bottom line, empty brain syndrome, okay? Empty brain syndrome.
Who would win in a fight with me and Snowden?
Non-thinking Borgs, okay? In other words, automatons who go on with their normal practices or routines in life, never thinking that's all going to change. So what's critical, I think, for people to understand today is empty brains will lead to empty shelves. It gets worse and worse. I just put an article up on my website about Walmart's really having problems sourcing food and other staples that everyone that shops at Walmart, the biggest, retail store complex in the world, now people are sending pictures. It's not until reality touches each and every one of us in something that we've taken for granted that we even, respond. Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, that was the video from Walmart. When I checked your site this morning, or yeah, I think it was this morning, I saw that and I thought, how can people see what I'm seeing that was shown in that video report and not accept that? And that's that empty brain syndrome that you have, the reality avoidance that you call it. I think people are afraid, Steve. I really do. I think fear has overtaken the ability of people to reason, and that's a scary place to be for normal people people with normal sensibilities. That's for sure.
Well, fear paralysis, that's where the term scared to death. I mean, people, and that's what Jesus was speaking about when, with all the events coming upon the earth, men's hearts would fail them for fear. In other words, we're drop dead of heart attacks. Gee, right now we have a preview of that. But with all the people dying of, the vaccination, and I would say this, the intentional murderous design to kill off as many humans as possible. And Doug, at the same time, I think it's important that people understand
that you admit that. That's good.
We will engage people that agree with us because it makes us feel like we're seeing the world and they're seeing the same thing. But we can, this, if you have a different focus or an outlook, the Democrats will see Biden's speech as brilliant. The rest of the world says he's insane. They do. And the rest of the world is mocking us openly. We had, I used to say something, you don't know that. Well, the Saudi Arabians made it very clear. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, in other words, all of the Arab countries and Russia, which is not an Arab country, is a member of OPEC. They're all withdrawing their presence from the United States.